people are always eager to help. But usually if somebody's performing at a higher level than you, they're not really looking for you. But they understand where you are and they're eager to help you, but you have to ask for it.
Welcome to the Network Marketing Made Simple podcast. I am your host, Scott Aaron, and each and every week I'm going to come to you with short, simple, and powerful tactics of how you can grow your network marketing business, brand, bank account, and impact on those around you. And just remember, network marketing is not easy, but it can be made easy with simple steps to create the success that you truly deserve. Welcome to episode 114 of the Network Marketing Made Simple podcast. And if you're a new listener, then welcome. And if you are a returning listener, then welcome back. And as always, if you are new to the industry of network marketing or a seasoned network marketer, and you are still using Facebook and Instagram as your primary resources to build your business, and you are not yet leveraging and harnessing the power of LinkedIn, then head over to my website, www.scottaaron.net, where you can schedule a free 15-minute call with me where I can learn more about you, your business, what you're struggling with, and how we could potentially work together. So, totally stoked about today's episode. In my string of interviews, it's just been really incredible. When I stepped into interviewing people about 4 or 5 months ago, it started off with traditional network marketers and this, that, or the other, which I still have on, and they're incredible. But then I started realizing that there's all these amazing entrepreneurs that I am now friends with that are doing things that help network marketers, that help other coaches, that help people in entrepreneurship really achieve what they're looking to achieve. And the person that I have for you guys today is no different than those amazing individuals. This is someone that is literally changing the game of how people are showing up in their businesses and the performance and the return that they're getting back from that. So I would love to welcome to today's episode peak performance coach Arvin Anderson to the show. Arvin, welcome, my brother.
I'm so excited to be here, Scott, man. Let's jam out on all things entrepreneurship.
Love it. So before we get into that, obviously you and I connected through 6 Degrees of Separation with some mutual friends. And obviously you and I are doing some bigger and better things currently. But how you have I love your past, and I don't want to tell your story. I really want you to tell it. So talk about how really interesting and how versatile your past was and the lessons that you learned that led you to doing what you're doing now as a peak performance coach.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, basically been an entrepreneur my whole life. I dabbled in the corporate world for a little while and found out instantly that is not the world I wanted to be in. So I've always been up to the challenge of creating my own destiny. And over the course of the last year is where I've made, just the most incredible shifts that I've ever made in my life. And it's because of the hand that life dealt me. And sometimes when you're caught in that, sometimes when life deals you a hand where it kind of pushes you into that rock bottom space, it makes you feel, overwhelmed and defeated and like you're just sinking in quicksand. But it's also an opportunity to find out what you're really made of. And once I started sinking deep enough in that quicksand, I started to ask myself that question, like, what are you going to do about it? And what had happened in that point was I had left a lucrative career because it was kind of just wasn't filling me up anymore. And I decided to go into the health and fitness world, and I opened up a CrossFit gym because I just loved it. I loved the training. I loved the community. I loved the mindset. I loved all things CrossFit. And I built this up to a multi-six-figure business in 18 months. It took off right from the get-go. It was an exciting ride. It was thriving. My life was thriving. I was engaged to be married. I was surrounded by all these incredible people. I had a core team that was with me that helped me build this business. And what felt like overnight, like the snap of a fingers, it all just completely fell apart. There was a split between my team, and they opened up their own place, and half my community went with them. and my engagement fell apart. The business started to just slowly unravel. I went to where I was making $20,000 months, dropped down to $6,000 months, and to the point where wasn't even able to cover my expenses anymore. And all of my savings that I built up over the course of those years just completely depleted itself. And I was terrified, and I was defeated, and I was beaten down, and I just felt absolutely all alone in that moment. And but it was just like an awakening for me. It was like, this is not what my life is going to be like. This is not who I am. I know I'm better than this. I know I'm meant for more than this. This is just a learning lesson. I got to figure out how to get out of this hole. And when I get out of here, I'm never coming back. And once I kind of made that decision in my mind, that's when everything started to change for me. And I started to immerse myself in this world of personal growth and transformation. And as I started to apply these principles to my life, everything started to change. And I started to understand where I was going wrong with everything, why I was able to build success in my life multiple times and it all fell apart every time. You know, the self-sabotage that was incorporated with that, and how to position myself differently this time, energetically, mentally, physically, so that next time when I create this success, not only do I keep it, I continue to build it and continue to step into higher versions of myself and continue to grow into higher levels of success because I'm taking an entirely different approach. And once I learned all these things, I started to implement them within myself and condition myself to feel the way that I wanted to feel without having to have the accomplishments first. That is what has changed everything for me. And now that I know how to do that, I turn around and I see everybody else that was in the same spot that I used to be. These entrepreneurs out there that are just stressing themselves out, and they're just stuck in this overwhelm trying to figure things out. And they just keep chasing these achievements and accomplishments as if I can just achieve these things, then I can start feeling better about myself. And I want to help them reverse that. I want to get them to a place where they feel good about themselves first, where they feel confident first, where they already feel successful, where they already feel capable, and they start taking actions from that place. That's going to be what changes things for them. That's what's going to break the pattern and start to create new and better results for them. It's what's happened in my life, and it's what I want to help other people happen in theirs.
I love that. And I appreciate you being so vulnerable with my audience. And, you heard my story when I spoke, and I'm very open with my story. And I think we have a lot of similarities. That it's funny how the health and wellness industry ended up, being the catalyst for doing bigger and better things. And the other thing and we have a mutual friend, Jackie Service, who we both adore, and she's an incredible, incredible coach. But the one thing that her and I spoke about that I'm sure you're going to agree with, that one of the best certifications that you can get to then have the right to teach others is going through that experience yourself, which you just explained. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. There's no greater certification in life.
So I think there are so many things that we can touch on, but let me ask you this, because there's a lot of people that are listening to this and they're going to resonate with some aspect of your story. They may not be happy financially in their life. They may not be happy relationship wise in their life. With everything that you went through with, obviously the success, and then obviously the demise of things that were going on, and now you coming out on the other side, bigger, better, and stronger. What do you say was one of the most impactful lessons that you took away from that whole experience?
One of the most impactful things was asking for help.
Wow. And that's such an underrated thing, because you and I both know in the entrepreneurial world, the high performers, quote unquote, one of the hardest things for people to do is to reach out and ask for help, because you have to ASK to GET. You have to ask to get. So why do you feel it's so hard for people to ask for help?
Yeah, it was just this mentality that I had it was like I felt like I had to do it all by myself. And if I didn't do it all on myself, then I couldn't really own it, that I didn't really earn it, that this was part of the journey, just this false belief that I gave myself, like I'm supposed to do this by myself. I have to figure this out all by myself. And then it was, being around people that I was around the wrong people. And I wasn't around people that understood what I was going through. And if I did try to open up a little bit, they just didn't get it. So I would just immediately close myself back off. Like, no, nobody understands what I'm going through. I'm all alone on this. I just have to figure this out by myself. And then by, putting myself in different rooms and really paying attention to that message that you are who you surround yourself with, and realizing that the people that are around me was not what I was trying to become. So once I started putting myself around those kind of people, I started to share things, and they understood me and they got it. They'd been through it. They'd gotten through it. And then it really gave me the courage to ask for help, because it's really scary. It's a very vulnerable thing to say, I'm really struggling to figure this thing out. I don't know if I can do it on my own. Can you please help me?
Yeah.
Like, even that, just saying that right now, Scott, makes my eyes water up.
No, me too, because it's one of those things where you never want to feel like a failure. And, as a man, we're taught physiologically and sociologically to figure things out. It's the hunter and gatherer syndrome, right? We hunt, we figure it out, we bring back the food to feed the family. And, women energetically, they ask questions, they try to, find solutions, they backtrack and, format a way of getting something done. And we're like, what's the problem? How can I fix it? And we don't want to ask for help, because in our minds, that's a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
But what I've come to realize, just like you have, is that the more that you can ask others for help, the stronger you become, because we don't know everything. We don't know how to figure everything out, because the reason why people like you exist and I exist and other people out there is because we are tools for people to get unstuck, to move forward. So learning the investment into oneself by asking someone else for help, you can't quantify what kind of return on your investment you're going to get, because it's exponential growth personally, professionally, mentally, spiritually, everything. And it's beyond important to reach out and ask for help. So now that you're in that space where you have no problem asking for help, and you have people now coming to you and you're helping all these individuals, which I think is incredible, is there a common theme or trend as a peak performance coach? Is there a common theme or trend that you are seeing within your clients that obviously you're having to solve for all of them? Is there something that's common in a lot of people that are feeling stuck in their life?
100%. They already know what they're supposed to be doing. They're just not doing it. And they're trying to distract themselves by telling them the thought, well, I need to learn more about this, or I need to learn this skill too, and I need to learn that, and I need this first, and I need these things first. You don't need all of these things. Your ability to go out there and monetize your business, to grow your business, everything that you need is right in front of you. And there's specific things that you already know you could be doing that will start to grow that for you, to start building momentum, and you're avoiding it. And you're justifying your excuses to not step forward and take those actions. And I get it. They're scary actions. They're terrifying. I get stuck with that too. I work with my own coaches to help me through my own stuff. But if we don't take those actions, we are not going to create the success that we're after, and you're just going to stay stuck and in that overwhelm, and things are just not going to work to the degree that they could, unless you have somebody in your corner that's going to help you make a decision, very clear decision on what to do next, and then support you through making that decision, and then continue building momentum that way.
That's so beautifully stated, because it's the truth. I talk about it all the time. Most people that are not happy with where they are, they're not doing anything wrong. They just have their car in neutral. And if your car's in neutral, it's not going to go anywhere. You're not going to go forward. You're not going to go backwards, and you're not a tree. Just move. And it's so important to make those decisions, to just move yourself forward. And I said it to someone today. I said to them, I don't care if you move yourself forward a millimeter, a centimeter, an inch, or a mile. As long as you're taking steps forward to progress in your life, you will achieve the success that you deserve. But again, there's one word that always stands in people's way, and it's FEAR. Fear literally paralyzes people. So let's talk about fear for a second. What are people actually afraid of?
They are afraid. I think the biggest thing that they're afraid of is other people's opinions, man. They're afraid they're going to be judged. They're afraid they're going to look stupid. They're afraid they're going to fail. And all of that comes around with the way other people perceive them. And if we can just rise above that, if we can just condition ourselves to allow the only opinion to matter is ourselves, is our own, that is where we can really just empower ourselves. And like when we talk network marketing, that's the number one thing stopping people from succeeding in network marketing. They're afraid that they're going to be judged.
Yeah.
They're afraid to talk to people about it. They're afraid of negative responses. Why? Like, just believe in yourself, believe in your business. And when you come from that place, you're going to attract the right people into your life.
I use this analogy because, my big coaching demographic is women. And the ones that are mothers, I always ask them this question. I said, are you a mother? And they'll say yes. And I'll say, if you can give birth to a child, you can build a network marketing business. I mean, you want to talk about something that's challenging? Conceiving a child, carrying a child, birthing a child, and taking care of a child, raising it into a human being. That is one of the most difficult things any one person will ever have to do. And then you talk about a network marketing business. How can you even compare the two? But the other thing is this. When you become a parent, you don't care what other people say about your parenting skills. You're doing the best that you can. If you are going to shut down the opinions of others and how you're parenting your child, why are you allowing the thoughts and opinions of others about you growing your business going to affect you? And it's, again, you hear Les Brown say it all the time. The thoughts and opinions of others do not have to become who you are. And it comes back to something that you said, self-sabotage. People self-sabotage themselves all the time. And it's one of those things when you can break that condition, it'll just take you to all new levels. So what's the biggest thing that you learned about with self-sabotage and things that you used to do that you're now obviously on the outside looking in because you're helping people now get rid of the self-sabotage? So why do you feel that you self-sabotaged, and why do you feel other people do as well?
Man, self-sabotage, it's so many layers there. It shows up in a variety of different ways. For example, I joined a mastermind, and when it was over, we had the option to renew. And my initial response was to not do it. But I had one of the most incredible experiences of my life in this mastermind. I had achieved so much growth that I ever had in such a short amount of time by being a part of this group. Luckily, at that point in my life, I had developed a very high sense of self-awareness. So instead of just making a decision, I asked myself, like, why is this such a quick no for me? And I really broke it down. And that's when I saw self-sabotage happening. I'm like, man, this environment took me to a new level of my life and a new level of myself. And I'm actually trying to pull myself away from it because it kind of scared me a little bit. Like, oh, I don't know if I can sustain myself at this level. I better just bring myself back down to where I was, because that's exactly where I was going to go. I was going to go right back to who I was before that. And once I was able to identify that, to know that the action I'm about to take is going to push me backwards, not move me forward. That's when I changed my mind, reinvested. And now it's, again, just exponential growth by being around these people in this environment. So with self-sabotage, it's a lot of it is having a keen awareness about yourself. What is this decision going to do? Is this going to move you forward? Is this going to keep you right where you're at? Or is this going to move you backward? And understanding the ability to know how to truly answer that question for yourself.
So you're friends with a lot of entrepreneurs and people in the network marketing community. What do you feel is holding these people back from truly achieving the success? Because you have friends that are very successful in network marketing. You have people that that aren't. What do you think is the differentiating factor between someone that is or is not successful?
I think that the people that are successful are willing to do however deep a work they need to do on themselves to create their success. And to me, that's the scary journey. And that's the challenging and difficult journey, is how deep are you willing to look within to find out what's created your current behaviors, your current beliefs. What are you willing to let go of? What stories are you willing to rewrite? What scars are you willing to open up with the intention to let them heal so that you can start to evolve into a greater version of yourself? It's not always the actions and the strategies. You can set all that set up. You can set all that stuff up, but if you don't show up correctly energetically, it's not going to work. But if you don't know how to go in there and tap into those things, and this is a like lifelong journey, just always being willing and able to go to open up and allow whatever needs to come out, even though it feels really scary. And just trusting that, the more vulnerable I get, the stronger I get, the wiser I get, the more capable I get. But I have to keep opening myself up that way if I have any intention of evolving into this greater version of myself that I'm trying to become.
And I think that's the one key thing, is that this is a lifelong journey. And, once you think that you know it all, you actually know nothing, because it's the truth.
Yeah, I like that.
We're constantly learning and growing, and that's, you want, like, I can't tell you how good it feels to listen to podcasts and read books and listen to trainings and be a part of masterminds, to learn things that I never would have learned this stuff in school. And it's so great to be able to do it now, where it really impacts you in this positive way. Now, let me ask you this. How, and this is just, obviously your opinion and thought, how important is it to have the right circle of influence around you?
I think it's one of the most important decisions you ever make. It may be the most important decision you ever make.
So for that new network marketer, right? Or that network marketer that's been in it for a couple of years, that entrepreneur that's still grinding it out. And this is, again, nothing to bash their friends or their family. If those people aren't giving them what they require to move them forward, what can someone do to start developing or becoming part of a new circle of influence?
Number one, I'd say seek it out, right? Like if you're in a network marketing company, you should have an upline that's there to support you. So seek out those influences, seek out the people that are already doing what you want to do. People are always eager to help, but usually if somebody's performing at a higher level than you, they're not really looking for you, but they understand where you are and they're eager to help you, but you have to ask for it.
Dude, that was awesome. That was a mic drop statement right there, because they aren't looking for you, because they're on their own journey.
Mm-hmm.
But if you reach out to that person, they are going to be more than happy and willing to help. Again, this comes back to something that you said in the beginning. You have to ask for help. Now, I want to pivot really quickly. Part of your story, which I found was so intriguing and interesting, is one of your first entrepreneurial endeavors being a franchise owner. And obviously you learned a lot from that. So just talk a little bit about that story and what you actually learned about owning your own business at such a young age.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest failures of my life. My father was an entrepreneur. He has been his whole life. And he wanted to help me get into entrepreneurship. So he helped me open a Quiznos sandwich shop. And I was 21 years old at the time. And I completely took everything for granted and thought it was going to be way easier than it was going to be. And I was not willing to make the sacrifices in my personal life to make this thing successful. And when I got into it, it was just coming in with a complete wrong mindset and not being prepared for what was ahead of me. And it failed miserably. And it's one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. And it was very humbling. And I think it was essential to my success moving forward to experience such failure from that. I still have not recovered from the relationship with my father. Like I feel like he's like, even though we have a great relationship and he tells me how proud he is of me and all these things, but I still feel like he's just so disappointed in me over that event, and it scarred me and it still carries with me. I'm still trying to prove myself to him ever since then. But it's sometimes we get our greatest lessons in our biggest failures, right? And that's what that was for me. It was very eye-opening to what the real world of entrepreneurship was all about. So the next time I stepped into it, I made sure that I checked in with myself first. Like, are you really going to do this? You know, are you really going to do everything it takes? Are you really going to make the changes that you need to make? Are you really going to be open to whatever you need to hear and learn and do those things? Because if not, go get a job.
I couldn't agree anymore. And, the one thing that I always speak about and I tell my clients is that your failures will always open up the doors to your successes. Any successful person out there has failed way more than they've actually succeeded. And that's a muscle. You have to be willing to fail in order to learn how to succeed. And again, thank you for your vulnerability and your openness for sharing that. Because again, I had a similar thing with my father. I was thrown into entrepreneurship and things didn't work out for me either. But, I consider some of my failures my greatest successes because it catapults you to this next new level. So again, thank you for being so open and honest with that. Now, as a peak performance coach, there's a lot of people that see a lot of coaches, but you definitely have a specialty. You definitely have a niche. What is it that you do as a peak performance coach, and what's the typical client that you work with?
Yeah, the typical client that I work with, I love working with entrepreneurs out there trying to make a difference, man. Just entrepreneurs, we're a different kind of animal. Like we've made the decision that doesn't matter what the road is ahead, we're going to see this thing through. We're going to figure shit out and we're going to make things happen, right? We're going to create our own life. We're going to create our own path. And I love having that conversation with people. And the people that I work with are, it's like I said, they already know what they're supposed to be doing. They're just not doing it. And we're not meant to figure this stuff out all on our own, right? Like we all need somebody in our corner that's going to help us see our blind spots, that's going to help us identify, well, what is the one thing that we should be doing right now in this moment that's going to get the needle moving the most? And let's create the strategy to step into that action. And that's who I work with, like people that are in that frustration, they're feeling stuck, they're feeling overwhelmed, they know that they should be doing more and they're just not doing it, and they just can't seem to figure out how to get themselves to do it. They're not supposed to. That's my job. Let me step in. Let me identify what those steps are with you based on everything that you know. You'll make the actual decision, and then I'll hold you accountable and give you the support that you need to go out there and execute those actions.
So what's one of the biggest takeaways that your clients get, someone coming to you that is requiring your help and then exiting your program? What do you feel is the biggest takeaway that most of your clients get after obviously going through your program?
Yeah, it's interesting because the big things that they get from it is never the selling point, right? Like if I were to say that in my messaging, I probably wouldn't have any clients. But what but what they really get is like I'm really good at connecting with people. Like I'm really good at meeting them exactly where they're at. I've been all over the spectrum of emotion in this journey of entrepreneurship. Like I get what they're going through. And I'm really good. And most people are in that kind of rock bottomish type place. And I can meet them there and I can connect with them there. And I understand where they're at. And for a lot of my clients, this is the first time they've been able to really open up about what they're going through and being able to just kind of talk that out so we can identify like what is all the things that are really making you stuck here. Like let's get these emotions out. Let's restructure some things for you so that we can show up more confidently. Let's get that belief back in yourself. Let's get that certainty back into your mindset about what you're doing and the impact that you can create. Let's do all of this internal conditioning first so you can start feeling better about yourself than you ever have. And when we do that, and we start taking actions, then the whole thing just becomes fun. It's not so scary and overwhelming anymore. It's fun like it was supposed to be. It's challenging, it's exciting. You look forward to all of these things because things are working and you're building momentum and you're having money coming in, and all the things that you saw in your mind in the beginning are actually starting to become a reality.
So obviously in network marketing or just in general, coaching is one of those things where there are some people that support it and some people that don't. And in network marketing, you have your uplines to reach out to, you have that free help, you have the resources. And again, it's that gray area. Do people really need to pay for coaching? Do people really need to invest in themselves and someone else? Speak to that, because you and I are both coaches. We both coach with people. We're both in masterminds. We know the importance of investing back into yourself. So speak to that point, to that network marketer that doesn't feel they need to invest in something outside of what they already have for free, and what the real value is in investing in oneself.
Yeah, that was a very big obstacle for me to overcome in the beginning, was to actually invest in myself. And I'm in the coaching space, and somebody told me in the beginning, you know, I would never work with a coach that doesn't have a coach. And I was like, huh, I don't have a coach. And that kind of resonated with me, right? Like everybody needs coaches. And it was a very empowering thing for me when I first started to invest in coaches. It was really scary. I didn't understand it quite yet. I really wasn't even sure what I was going to get, even though that's what I do, because I never really had it for me. And once I did that, it was like this internal commitment to myself. I'm like, all right, this just got real. Now I'm telling myself, I'm investing in myself, that I'm actually going to step forward. I'm going to do this. It's no more like talking about it and, you know, getting around to it. This is going to happen, and it's going to happen right now. And this is me telling myself and telling the world that I am committed and I'm going to make this happen. And once I did that, I mean, then the importance of having a coach in your corner, it just became so obvious to me. But I will tell you guys this, and this is the most important thing that I have learned from being coached, is that you have to be coachable. When I go into a coaching relationship, I do not come in with conditions. I do not come in with rules. I do not come in trying to tell the person everything I know. I'm coming in there to be coached. I'm coming in there to have my blind spots identified. I'm coming in there to get perspective that I don't have. I'm coming in there to get new strategies because the things I'm doing aren't working to the extent that I want them to. So I'm coming in there completely open, ready to receive. And then when it's time to do something, I go out and I get it done.
Wow. I couldn't have said that any better myself. And, you know, you really hammered home the point of making that investment in yourself. And the most important thing, being coachable.
Yeah.
If you're not going to be coachable and you're not going to hold yourself accountable, do you know how many people out there put the blame on their coaches for not getting them the results they want, when it's the coach's job to facilitate what the person needs to do, and it's up to that person to then take the action required from what they learned to get the results that they're seeking. It's not the coach's fault. You got to turn the mirror around on yourself. You can't be playing the blame game for the rest of your life, because, again, it's only going to keep you where you don't want to be.
Yep.
So, Arvin, before we end, two final things. Number one, where can people find out more about you on social media or website, and how they can work directly with you?
Yeah, 100%. I'm on all three of the platforms. So you can find me on Instagram at Arvin_Anderson. You can find me on LinkedIn, Arvin Anderson, Mindset Coach, and you can find me on Facebook as well. But I'm predominantly, I show up differently on all three platforms, but you can find me on either one and we can connect there.
Awesome. And final question before we end today's episode, what does success mean to you?
Oh, man, it's completely had to redefine. And it used to mean something different, right? And now I've just defined it as success to me is being in control of my emotions, in control of my thoughts, and in control of my life.
I love it. Brother, so grateful for you for sharing your love, your light, and your energy with my audience today. I know they're going to take away so much from this. And guys, remember, Arvin_Anderson. Take a screenshot of the episode, throw it up on Instagram, tag Arvin, tag myself. Let us know what your biggest takeaways were. DM us, connect with us on Facebook and LinkedIn or Instagram or wherever. And Arvin, thank you again so much for being a part of today's episode.
Oh, thanks, Scott. This was awesome.
Well, guys, please enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you again for tuning in, and I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you again so much for checking out this week's episode. And if you can, head over to iTunes, search for Network Marketing Made Simple, leave me a 5-star rating, basic review, I would be grateful for all of the support you guys can give me. And again, if you'd be interested in learning more how to utilize LinkedIn to grow your business, your brand, and your bank account, head over to my website, www.scottaaron.net. Fill out the form for your free 15-minute discovery call so I can learn more about you, your business, and how we can work together. And again, thank you guys so much. Grateful for you all, and I'll see you next time.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.